Thank you all very much. This is the last, but probably the best panel, and thank you for staying with us for the day. Today we have a really interesting discussion. As was already mentioned, there's a lot happening right now in the sister city of South Summit in Rio Grande. Just to give you a brief introduction, I'm Deborah. I'm a principal at Mundi Ventures, where we back bold and, more importantly, purpose-driven founders. We have about 500 million euros in assets under management, and that's spread across different thematic funds. One of the areas we do look at and focus on is climate tech across our different sectors. And I'm proud to say that we actually have two investments in our portfolio that focus on water, Layer and FloodMap. However, I would not say I'm an expert, so I'm very happy to have experts with us today. So first, I just wanted to introduce our panelists, Noé. Noé is a graduate in chemical engineering from the University of Oviedo and has over 18 years of experience in the water sector within the Sacyr Group. Within the corporation, he has played various roles that have allowed him to have a comprehensive knowledge of the business, both nationally and internationally, participating in the execution of construction projects, startup, management of various facilities, and later as area manager. For 3 years, he has been working as technical director, a direction that encompasses areas as diverse as process support, engineering, purchasing, and digitalization. We're also joined by Dr. Alejandro Martí, Alex, of Mitiga Solutions. Alex is the CEO and co-founder of Mitiga, an award-winning spin-off of the National Supercomputing Center in Spain. Through its platform EarthScan, clients get instant understanding on how their assets will be impacted by climate risk anywhere in the world, helping them act and prevent hazards from becoming disasters. He's also the chairman of the UN ITU Focus Group on AI for climate applications and holds 2 PhDs in climate science and environmental engineering. And last but not least, we have Jorge, who's the lead project manager of OpenTop, which is a part of the Valencia Port Innovation Hub. Jorge works at Valencia Port Foundation, leading its innovation hub, which is called OpenTop, looking for startups, technology, and new ideas to revolutionize the port and logistics industry. Prior to that, he led the innovation programs at Renfe, launching TrendLab, which is Renfe's corporate startup accelerator. He has a wide experience in marketing and product management of telecoms and tech products, both in startups and multinational companies. Jorge holds an MSc in telecom engineering by the Polytechnic University of Valencia and executive MBA by the European University. Now that we have the introductions out of the way, we're going to go right into the content of the discussion. And I wanted to start with Noé. As part of Sacyr Agua, you're servicing about 95 million users in countries like Spain, Chile, Australia, Oman, Algeria, which obviously some of these are heavily water scarce. Yeah. And so wondering if you can just give us some context in terms of the biggest challenges that you're facing in servicing these users.
Yes. It's amazing challenges. When I have to say where we have to, or what we have to do to achieve all the water or to solve the demand that we need in a few years, I want to say that there are 3 steps. First of all, we need to improve and optimize our existing systems and assets. So this goes straight to have the best energy consumption in our assets. We need to reduce the leakage in our networks. In some countries, we have more than 30 or 40% of the water goes through the earth. So this is crazy in the actual, on the current situation. So, and the other one is how we can manage in an efficient way all the integrate or the cycle of water. How we do that? With data. Mm-hmm. We are in the data age, clearly. We need to have more sensors, more data, and also have a big, a clear structure to have all this data in order to analyze and take the best decision. So this is why we are in a very ambitious digitalization strategy. We are building our data lake, our ecosystem, with all the softwares that we need to have all of this data in our knowledge and use it to optimize what we have. This is the first, but the second one is use or reuse the water that we produce in the wastewater treatment plants. In most of the countries, all the water goes straight to the ocean or to the rivers, and we are also only focused and don't impact the environment. But this water is perfect to use it to irrigate to industry, or as we want to say, these facilities are biorefineries. So it means we produce water, but we produce nutrients, we produce energy in form of biogas. So the level of the water that we need to reuse must be higher. We are involved in some countries, as you said, that are very stressed. So we are very focused with our client working in this kind of projects. For example, here in Spain, in Murcia and in Cádiz, almost 100% of the water is used to the industry or to irrigation. So you need to have the best performance or the best treatment to have this water with enough quality, but also you need to have all the networks, the storage, in order to have this water when you need. Of course, these industries need this water in summer and in winter, and they are very, very happy to have the security to have this water, because if they haven't got this water, they need to stop the production. So this is a critical factor, and if you think in the same, maybe 5 or 10 years ago, maybe they said you are crazy. Why am I going to pay for that water double from the other water? No? So we are very focused on this in this vector, the reuse. Finally, although we optimize our networks, our treatments, we produce all the water, the reused water that we can produce, we need to have more water, and this water is in the sea, in the ocean. So this is why we need the desalination. Desalination maybe is so difficult to understand. Why do you think it's very electricity demander, or if you have some impact in the sea, the brine? But the really is that we have a very efficient treatment with a very low energy consumption, and we are working in that way, but also in produce new energy with this brine. For example, we are working in a project, a very interesting project called High Reward. In that project, we produce blue energy from the conductivity gradient that we have in the brine and in another flow, and we can produce energy, so we can reduce the electricity demand. But also we are working in brine mining to extract some add value elements like calcium or magnesium. And this is a very interesting way to work. This is why I think desalination is a good option to solve the problems in that area that you said, but you need to optimize and reuse. This is the steps that I think we need to do. And at the end of the day, you need to manage all of that. And the best way to manage that is with data.
Amazing. And it's really interesting when you say, we take advantage of water, and it's great to hear some of the initiatives that you have to make the most use of the scarce, precious resource that we have. But then on the other side, water is obviously a part of the hydraulic cycle, so it has to fall somewhere. And with a lot of the intensity in climate change that we're seeing a lot more precipitation in certain areas, creating flooding. I know, Alex, for your company, Mitiga Solutions, you've been doing a lot in terms of areas that are, even in now what we're talking about in Brazil, in Rio Grande, you've been working on a couple of projects to help with climate resilience when there's too much water. Mm-hmm. So I wondered if you can comment a little bit about that.
Sure. Thank you, Deborah, and thank you, everyone, for staying late on the last event of the day. So yeah, when we think about historically, public or private stakeholders, when they think about climate resilience, they think about two stages: denial, or they're going completely crazy about it, no? So they are all desperate. So we need to find a space in between where intelligence, climate intelligence technology is helping stakeholders to understand what are the risks about climate and how does affect their physical assets, no? So with Earthscan, as you were mentioning before, we have a platform that is allowing any asset manager to understand for their facility what is the risk today and all the way to 2100 for all the type of hazards that climate is involved. No? So that we're talking about wildfires, we're talking about severe convective storms, we're talking about floods, we're talking about droughts. No? So that could be from a water plan and how the water plan could be disrupted by any of those hazards above, but that could be any other type of asset that is critical infrastructure as well. That gives us the example of what you were mentioning back in Brazil, right? So unfortunately, the events in Brazil has been quite devastating. We've been working with the government of Brazil in trying to quantify the actual damage of the floods that happened in Rio Grande do Sul. We were just, as an anecdote, we were in South Summit few months ago in Porto Alegre, and it's devastating to see that beautiful area now it's under 5 meters of water. No? That flood has caused more than half a million people that now they don't have water or electricity, and 150,000 people that they had to be displaced. So this is just an example where, while we cannot prevent some natural hazards to become disasters, technology can help to anticipate and build resilience against those events, like floodings in Porto Alegre. Other things that we're doing in that space and coming more into the water scarcity is to try to give the information for those large organizations that are trying to prevent massive losses. So one example, for example, is the World Food Program. They're looking to build a catastrophe bond, 100 million in size, to prevent the drought, to prevent famine in the Horn of Africa. Obviously, famine by means of droughts, that then there is no harvesting that people can actually utilize. No? So with that kind of risk transfer mechanism, you can get financial mechanisms that can cover before, and after an event like that happens. No? So we have events like droughts that are slow onset, so we can see them coming. And then we have events like flooding, which are very fast, and we cannot see them coming. No? But there are technologies out there, like EarthScan, that helps you to not only monitor and kind of screen and report, which now there are a lot of companies, they need to report these kind of hazards, but also to build that necessary resilience, because if the government of Porto Alegre, for example, will have a tool like EarthScan before, they would not have built their floodgates at 4 meters just because in the past, there hasn't been an event higher than 4 meters of water on flood. But if you will look at what happened forward, you need to build that infrastructure not based on the past, but based on the future. So that's kind of like technologies like EarthScan can help you prevent these kind of things, or at least mitigate and minimize the actual impact.
That's really interesting. I think both of you are really touching on data and having information to drive decisions. And so for Jorge, in terms of, when you think about, or for a lot of us, when we think about water, maybe with the floods and everything, they're so far away, it's not really hitting home for us. But obviously, there's a lot of impact, including supply chain. So we were talking a little bit earlier about in Valencia, for example, when the water levels go up, what does that mean for one of the busiest ports in Europe? And then I was commenting in Panama Canal, for example, I think this past year, they've reduced the number of crossings from 38 to 24, which means there's a limited flow of supply chain. And so what type of initiatives and innovations are you seeing? Are you also seeing a lot of data-driven types of companies that you're working with to help you make better decisions for Valencia Port?
Yeah. As you were commenting, I would say that logistics is something very important for all of us. Most of the goods that we buy every day, and even the clothes that we are wearing, come by sea to us, and they come through a port. So, and you can imagine how water security is important for a maritime port. You can imagine that. And then climate resilience as well. We can remember as well the problem with the Suez Channel, with that ship that was stuck in the channel. Then there was a big disruption in logistics worldwide. And we always say that logistics works very well, and we don't feel it, but we feel it when it doesn't work. So, if it's of most importance for us, for ports and for the maritime industry, to predict disruptions and to prevent them. In that sense, from Fundación Valencia Port, we are participating in several projects in the past and also currently. We are targeting the prediction of the disruptions, building models and building scenarios for the climate change, so we can think what happens if the temperature goes high in 1 degree, 2 degrees, or whatever, and then in that sense we can simulate with data and with technology what would happen in the ports in these situations. And we are also from OpenTop collaborating with one tech company that is building a platform to collect both data of weather events and also and it's something unique with the events or the effects or the impact of those events, climate events, in the port. So we can correlate them, and then it will help us to define thresholds and then optimize the operation of the port and avoid problems, even safety problems or operations disruptions. So it will help, and again, the technology will help to take decisions in the port operations. Other company that has passed through our program, through OpenTop program, is Canonical Green. They are providing weather routing solutions. So the shipping lines can decide the best route through the ocean based on a different kind of data, but basically including weather predictions in this calculation of the best route. So again, resilience of the logistics chain can be benefited because the ships can avoid weather events that can be disruptive. And regarding water quality, which is another important topic, I have to say that in particular in Valencia Port, the water quality is really high because First of all, the ships cannot cannot spill out any liquids or trash to the sea. Even that, the port periodically collects everything that could be on the water, and also the quality of the water is measured periodically as well. And then the result it is so good that mussels are grown in the water of the port of Valencia, and they are sold in the market. It is safe to eat them. Another initiative regarding water quality in the port, we are building a living lab to allow to test new technologies that can help us ensure that quality, to measure it or to even to clean the water. And this is regarding water, but also if we talk about the root cause of climate change, we talk about carbon footprint. We are very ambitious at Valencia Port, and we have the target to be net zero emissions port by 2030. And this is a huge opportunity for startups. And we are constantly launching initiatives and challenges oriented to provide solutions for decarbonization. And for example, one of the startups in our program, We Are Lab, they build artificial reefs, and they build it with modules that are 3D printed with biochar, which is also a biological material. And they insert Posidonia, the sea plant, into the reefs. And Posidonia has the characteristic that it is a plant that it is the plant that absorbs the most amount of CO2. So if we put those reefs in the port environment, we can compensate the emissions of the port. Okay. Also, there is a regulation in Europe that all the ships at the port in the future will have the obligation to connect to the electrical grid of the port, so that they will have to shut down the machines and they will not be emitting CO2 while at the port. And finally, I would like also to mention another startup that is currently in our program, and they have been pitching this morning here at the South Summit. They are Hydros Power. They have power trains that can be inserted into logistics machinery, with providing hydrogen as the energy for those machinery, for those machines, and so they can be carbon neutral as well. Well, that's all. We have a lot of initiatives that are related to climate resilience, because it's basically of utmost importance for us.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And I mean, you've just built out my water thesis for our next investments. But it is true, I think one of the things that there's so much more that we can do, right? As an investor, only about 1% of climate tech funding is actually going to water investments, which is very little, and there's more for investors to do. What do you think can happen in terms of more collaboration between the private, public sector? I mean, it's a clear, you guys both should use Mitigano already to help with some of the challenges and innovation. But maybe if you can just comment in the last 5 minutes that we have, what else more can we do in terms of, it's not a problem that only one person or one entity can fix, but we all really have to come together to really promote this for the future.
I can go, for example. We have just in line to what you were saying, we have a program that is called Earth Cities, which is combining the United Nations, the governments of Spain and Brazil, and the 25 top companies on each of the countries to actually look at that problem in particular. No? So how critical infrastructure, so schools, hospitals, daycare centers, and transportation in general, and private companies, they have that climate intelligence to understand what's the problem today, what's going to be 10 years from now, and how we build that resilience 20 years from now. Because it's not just the private sector that needs to report and look into it, it's all the infrastructure that the public sector is building that enables that private sector. No? So those kind of large consortia, even though they are tricky to put them together, but they have a lot of value because you have the needs and the requirements for every sector, no? And then you can build from there. So that's one example that we're doing, for example.
Mm-hmm. These kind of consortiums are very interesting. We are involved, for example, in All for Zero. It's a technology hub focus on decarbonization. So how we can participate with our knowledge, but put in one specific business case. If you have all the holistic vision, you can say, okay, this is interesting for that, but you need the other part. You need partners, but keeping the knowledge of each part. If you can have a consortium with this vision, I think all of these projects is going very, very good.
Maybe just to add that it's very important to have funding for the project. And in that sense, we have a lot of opportunities from the European Union for building those consortiums and get granted with money from the European Commission that has a lot of interest in decarbonization and in climate resilience. I think there is a lot of opportunities there. And also in Spain, and for the ports system, we have Ports 4.0, which is a fund from Puertos del Estado that is providing also funding for innovation projects that can be applied to the port system. And as this is a very important topic, for sure there are a lot of opportunities there as well.
Definitely we need more funding, and I think for us, we know that, and we're working on it, and hopefully we'll...
Private funding as well.
Private funding as well, private and public partnerships. In terms of just last words, like summary of water scarcity, resilience, and climate, are you positive that we're going to be able to achieve these goals in meeting the demands that we need for the future?
For sure.
For sure?
Yeah.
So you're very optimistic.
Yeah, because we need it. So when we are under pressure, we have the best of us. So yes, there are a lot of things to do. We are just in the top of the challenges that we have. So yes, I am optimistic.
That's good. Good to hear.
I want to be optimistic. I think at least it's the first time that I see the three key variables on the equation to be in a line, no? Which is science, industry, and the regulatory framework speaking the same language. No? I've been in climate science for the last 15 years, and you go 15 years ago, and that wasn't the case. Science was much higher. Industry was kind of like not being bothered by the whole agenda of climate, and the legislation didn't know where to be. Feel finally that equation is now balanced. There is public funding, there is private funding to do that, so it's up to us to make it happen. No? So
I tend to agree, especially with Noé, because I think there is no choice, basically. But I think that it's also time. I think time to market is important for innovations, and nowadays I think that many things are converging. And the need, the funding, the willingness of people as well, and then I think that we will go through the climate crisis as we went through the COVID crisis just a few years ago. I think I am optimistic as well.
That's good. So I'm glad that we're ending on an optimistic note, and thank you for staying with us on the final session of day one. And thank you to our panelists for your insights and expertise.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.